Don't eat boring food includes leftovers. Today we're going to repurpose some leftovers, make an awesome sauce, make an awesome side, make everything amazing. You're going to love it. Hey, welcome to another episode of All American Cooking with Michael Allen. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be repurposing some leftovers and making them fantastic with an extra side. Made myself a meatloaf the other day. Nothing too fancy, just a standard oniony meatloaf with bacon on top and a nice sweet tangy glaze. But I'm cooking for myself, so there's always going to be leftovers. So I want to show you how you can repurpose your leftovers and make them better so you're not always eating the same thing. So we're going to make this killer meatloaf sandwich today, but the other components going on, we're going to make a garlic compound butter so that we can toast the bread and make that more amazing. We're going to make a slightly spicy Dijonnaise sauce to go on it. We're going to do some caramelized red onion to go on it, and we're going to make some homemade French fries on the side. So let's get to it. There's a lot to do. We're going to start off making the fries. You might recognize this kid as a standard russet potato, also known as a baking potato. Really the only type of potato that you want to use to make French fries. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. It's already been washed and patted dry. So we're going to start off by cutting the ends off, like so. We don't need those, kids. They can get tossed away. And then I like to take a little piece off the end so I can start with a fresh, straight line working surface. And now it doesn't matter how thick or how thin you cut this. The most important part here is to cut everything in uniform sizes, because as long as everything is the same size, it will cook evenly. I'm going with a thinner French fry here. I like a little crispier fry. So we're going to cut these planks, these nice thin planks. Be careful when you're getting to the edge, especially if you have an extremely sharp knife like I do. Once you have all your planks cut, now we can start to cut the planks into our little strips or our little French fries. So we'll stack two of our planks together and we'll just start to cut nice, thin, even strips. And once your fries are cut, you want to put them into a bowl with some cold water, rinse and repeat until the rest of the potato is cut. Placing the French fries into a bowl of cold water not only prevents browning, but also helps to remove the starch. You notice how cloudy the water is, and if you feel the fries, they feel a little slimy. So you can leave them sit here for a couple of hours, or you can do what I'm going to do and drain and rinse, and you can see after about 3 or 4 times, the water remains nice and clear. So now all we have to do is drain the water and get these kids nice and dry and ready for the fryer. Because, and I cannot stress this enough, do not put wet food into hot oil. Just don't do it, please. So now we can just lay them out on some paper towel and use more paper towel to rub back and forth and dry them as best as we can. Again, we do not want to put wet food into hot oil. It will be a disaster you don't want to deal with. So dry these kids off as best as you can. So now my oil is set at about 250 to 260. 275 is the lowest reading that I have on my deep fryer. We want to go a little lower than that. Definitely not much warmer than 260. 250 is about your optimal temperature. We're going to fry these twice. They're going to get 10 minutes at 250 to 260, and then the second time they'll fry at 375 until they're nice and golden brown and crispy. So we're going to go ahead and drop them in, and don't be afraid that you don't really see anything happening. That's because the oil temperature is too low. So we'll just cover it up and let it sit there for 10 minutes. And let it do its thing. Now, if you don't have a deep fryer, this can be done on the stove, in a cast iron pan, or in even a Dutch oven. Just make sure you have a thermometer so that you can make sure your oil temperature is where you need it to be. So with that being said, let's go make some garlic butter. So here's everything you need to make garlic butter. I've got a stick of butter in a bowl. It's been softened. You definitely want soft butter. Trust me on this. You'll see why in a minute. And then we've got some fresh parsley. We've also got a fresh head of garlic and a garlic press. We've got some kosher salt and some black pepper. So let's put it all together. So I've extracted 2 good-sized cloves of garlic from my head of garlic. Normally with a garlic press, you don't need to peel them, but these are a little too big to fit in a chamber. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give these a good smash with my hands and peel the paper back so that I can cut these in half and get them to fit into my garlic press. If you don't have a garlic press, of course, you can just mince these really fine with a knife or a food processor, whatever you have. The garlic press is great to get not only the garlic in there, but also the juice from the garlic. It really maximizes the flavor. So smash them with your hands, peel the skin off, and now you've got 2 nice peeled garlic cloves that we will cut in half so that they'll fit in the chamber of my garlic press. I got a little paring knife here. Just going to give these a slice right down the middle. And into the garlic press we go. They go into the little chamber, and you close it up and give it a good hard squeeze. Not all of it's going to come out all at once. Some will stick, but that's okay. Just move on with your next cloves. Don't drop that big chunk in there. Get that into the garlic press. Give it another nice big squeeze. Listen to that sound. I love the sound of a garlic press. And then just take a knife or a spatula or a fork, whatever, and just scrape off that excess garlic into the bowl. And now we will move on with some fresh parsley. So sorry that the parsley looks a little limp. It was fresh. I just bought it today, but hey, that's what we got to work with. It'll be fine. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tear off a couple of leaves just by giving it a nice twist there. If you get a little bit of stem in there, it's no big deal. The bigger stems you can go ahead and pull out. We want mostly leaves, obviously, but a little bit of stem isn't going to hurt anybody. So now I like to bunch everybody up together, get you all nice and tight, and then kind of roll it up. Just make this little, like you're rolling a parsley joint. I don't know if I should say that or not, but too late. And then just very carefully, just slice away. Just give a couple of nice slices through with your knife. Now, if you leave it at this is called chiffonade, but we want to go ahead and mince this up really fine. So we'll turn it and just rock that blade back and forth. Hopefully you have a good sharp knife. If you don't have a good sharp knife, get one. Get a knife sharpener. Do not try to cook with dull knives. You're just going to ruin your food and ruin even more. So once we get the parsley all nice and finely minced up and chopped up and tiny and looking wonderful, and at this point you can really smell the fresh herbs. This is why we use fresh herbs, because if it smells that amazing, you know it's going to taste that amazing too. So we'll just scoop it on up and put it into our bowl with our butter and our garlic. And we're pretty much there. We're just going to add a little pinch of kosher salt and some freshly ground black pepper. I'm using unsalted butter because I like to control the salt in my food. And there you go. Just mix this up and get everybody all happy together and mixed thoroughly, and it's going to be wonderful. And this is why I tell you to use softened butter. It's just a lot, and you can see I'm still having a little bit of difficulty mixing it. But if you're trying to do this with cold butter, it's just going to be a chore that you don't want to deal with, my friend. So get this all mixed up, and we'll move on to the next step. What I have here is a beautiful, large red onion. We're going to heat up a cast iron pan to low, just above low. And we're not going to cut across this way. We're going to cut the end off. And then I'm just going to kind of cut some thin rings out of this. So just nice thin slices. You don't have to worry about peeling at this point, because once we cut these rings, you'll see that the exterior skin will peel right off. This will make some beautiful caramelized onions. Now, it looks like I'm doing a lot at this point, but when you do cook onions like this, they shrink incredibly. So that should be enough. The rest of this goes into a Ziploc bag. And this is the only time that you want to put onion in the refrigerator, is after it's already been cut and you're reserving it for later. When your onions have not yet been sliced, definitely want to leave them at room temperature. Just helps to maximize the flavor. You lose a lot of flavor if you refrigerate them. So now, as you can see, the skin peels off quite easily. There's one, and there's two, and there's three, and one more kid to peel. And there we go. So these gorgeous red onions, now we're just going to go ahead and separate the rings a little bit before adding them to the pan. They will break up as they're cooking, but this just helps them along the way a little easier. Sometimes onions need our help. So once I get these separated, into the pan we're going to go. So my cast iron pan has been heating up for a little bit at low, or actually just a notch above low. And it's well seasoned, but I want a little more flavor and a little more lubricant, so we're going to hit it with just a touch of extra virgin olive oil, maybe about a tablespoon or so. And then our onions are going to join the party. And you're not going to hear any kind of sizzling or anything right away. You don't want to. If you do, that means your pan is too hot. Take it off the heat for a few minutes until it calms down, and then make sure that your heat is on low. The trick to caramelized onions is low and slow. So we'll give these kids a little toss in the oil, make sure everybody's fairly evenly coated, and we can just let them sit there for about 15 to 20 minutes until they're golden brown and caramelized and gorgeous. After 10 minutes, our fries are, now they're starting to sizzle a little bit. I'll show you real quick. There we go. But they're not golden brown. They're not delicious. They're just cooked through. You can see they're just kind of limp and in need of a fry Viagra. So we're going to bring the oil up to 375, and then they'll go back down for about 4 or 5 minutes to get golden brown and crispy and delicious. And we'll take care of that when we need to. They can sit there for now. So let's make a sauce, shall we? Here's everything you need to make a beautiful, tangy, spicy Dijonnaise. So this sauce starts with my favorite mayonnaise. This is Japanese Kewpie mayonnaise. Some stores are starting to carry it now, but I happen to find it online through Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. And then it can't be Dijonnaise without some Dijon Mustard, so we're going to go about equal parts. I'm not measuring anything because I rarely ever do, and I'm only making this for one, or in this case, 2 sandwiches. So as you can see, it's a tiny little bowl and a tiny little whisk that I'll be using to put everything together. So now with the mayonnaise, the Dijon, we want to add a little tang. So we're going to get some apple cider vinegar in there. If I can get this damned bottle open, there we go. And just eyeballing it just a little bit. You don't want to go too much. We don't want to totally liquefy this sauce. We just want that little bit of tang. So that should be perfect. And then we're going to go about the same amount of Worcestershire of this sauce. You know what that stuff is. So a couple drops of that, about the same amount as the vinegar, maybe just a touch more. And then, of course, we want some heat. This is a spicy Dijonnaise, so how about some sriracha? Sriracha's got a really nice flavor and a good afterburn, I like to call it, that heat that creeps up on you. So as with anything, I get a nice little pinch of kosher salt and some freshly ground black pepper. And we'll finish this sauce off with a little bit of my chopped parsley. Just adds a little brightness to it and makes it look pretty. So with my mini whisk and my mini mixing bowl, we're going to just whisk everything together until it's nice and homogeneous. And a delightful sauce is here. You'll see many sauces over the career of this channel, but this is one of my favorites. This is great on all kinds of sandwiches, especially with meat. You know, I have to give this Dijonnaise a try, so a little pinky dab, and it is unbelievable. It is tangy. It's got the Dijon. It's got the little bit of heat from the sriracha. Phenomenal. Make this sauce. And after about 10 minutes, our onions are starting to look beautiful. They're nice and soft, but they're not quite at the caramelized state yet. We want a little more golden brown color out of these guys. I should also add that as long as I had it handy, I added a little pat of our garlic butter to give these onions a little bit more flavor. And now to flavor them up even more and to help finish the caramelizing process, we're going to go ahead and add a generous pinch of some kosher salt and a few good grinds of some freshly ground black pepper. And then we can let them sit and continue to cook. We'll check them every once in a while, but another 10 to 15 minutes or so and they should be beautiful. You can't make a leftover meatloaf sandwich without leftover meatloaf, and here this kid is. This was more of a traditional meatloaf. There are many different varieties that I make. My favorite particular being a smoked Southwest Chipotle meatloaf, but this is more your traditional style. It was actually inspired by a recipe that I grew up with. My mom used to make meatloaf, and she would add a packet of Lipton onion soup mix to make the meatloaf. So I did that along with the eggs and some garlic and some onion and some Worcestershire sauce. And I topped it with bacon, and then I made this gorgeous little tangy sweet glaze on top, and it was a fantastic meatloaf, so it's going to make a fantastic sandwich. So while it's cold and nice and firm, we're going to go ahead and slice a nice thick old chunk, and that will make for a perfect meatloaf sandwich. And when the onions are there, we can go ahead and take them out and put them aside in a small bowl to set aside for use on top of our sandwich. Before I crank this pan up to high heat, because I added the garlic butter to it, I want to wipe it out a little bit with a paper towel so that those pieces of garlic and parsley don't burn. Once your pan is clean, go ahead and crank up the heat. We're going to put the meatloaf in there. And absolutely nothing fancy to see here. This is just good old-fashioned, plain old white bread. You can use hamburger buns, you can use challah bread, you can use brioche, you can use whatever you want. I happen to have this plain old white bread. How do we make plain old white bread better? Well, we add our beautiful garlic compound butter. That's how. So we'll just go ahead and we'll spread this gorgeous garlic compound butter onto our bread. I went with 4 slices here because I did cut myself a second slice of meatloaf when you weren't looking, because I'm very sneaky like that. And again, this is where you definitely want your butter to be soft, because if you've ever tried to spread cold butter onto fresh bread, you know what a difficult chore you have in front of you. So once we get all these buttered up, we'll go to the next step. What I have here is what you call a griddle pan. You can use a regular pan, a cast iron pan, a flat top, whatever you happen to have. This is what I have. It's been heating up just a notch past medium. And we're gonna go ahead and put these beautiful pieces of garlic bread right on there. We're just looking to get some color, some beautifulness. Oh, the smell already. After a minute or two, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip them. We're going to toast the other side just to get a little firmness, because we don't want the typical Wonder Bread burger kind of thing happening here. So let those do their thing for a minute. Now this thing doesn't always heat evenly, so we're going to give each piece a little turn. It's important to know your cookware. The more you use it, the more you familiarize yourself with how it all works. And I've been using this griddle pan for a long time. I know how it heats up. I know where the hot spots and uneven spots are. So I'm going to give everything a little turn very carefully. I don't know why I'm not using a utensil to do this. I just like to feel hot iron on my hands, I guess. And when it starts to smell sensational, we can go ahead and give these guys a little check to see what they look like. And as I expected, they look perfect. So we will go ahead and flip these kids over. This guy over here, flip him. Yep, beautiful. That is absolutely what you want. Look at the color on this bread. This is absolutely gorgeous garlic bread. So once we have all our kids flipped, we can go ahead and turn the heat off, and the residual heat will toast the other side of the bread perfectly. And when your cast iron pan is smoking hot, we're going to give it a little shot of avocado oil. That's higher smoke point oil. And we are going to go ahead and place our meatloaf slices. Yeah, I decided to go with 2 of them because I might want a second sandwich. You just never know. Bacon on there, that's beautiful. So we're going to let these go for about a minute or so per side. Remember our fries? Well, the oil's up to 375. These kids are going back in. Now you've got that frying sizzle that you're always looking for. We're just going to let these kids go for about 3 to 4 minutes until they're golden brown and perfect. These kids are ready for a flip. So let's go ahead and flip them over. Look at that, beautiful. That's what you want, is that gorgeous color on there. That's not burnt, baby. That's some of the caramelization from the sauce. That is exactly what we're looking for. So at this point, we can go ahead and turn the heat off and let those finish browning on the other side. And I almost forgot, how can you have a meatloaf sandwich without some cheese? Got to have some cheese on there, right? So today I've got some white American cheese. That's right, white American cheese. We're going to go ahead and put a slice right there. We're going to go ahead and just cover them both with a slice, and I'll separate them later. We've killed the heat so that the bottom doesn't burn, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw this lid on to let the cheese melt. And after about 4 minutes, our fries are golden brown and crispy and beautiful and delicious. So we'll take them out, we'll shake off that excess oil before we put them into a bowl and hit them with some kosher salt. Now into a bowl they go. And at long last, it's time to build our meatloaf sandwich, where we're going to begin with this wonderful, spicy Dijonnaise. I'm hoping that I have enough here for 2 sandwiches, because at the time that I made the sauce, I was only counting on making 1 sandwich. So I won't get the sauce as thick as I would normally like to. Normally, I would like to put it on both sides of the bread, but in this case, we're just going to put it on the bottom layer. So we'll get that sauce spread around as much as we can. Looks like I made just enough. We might fall a little short here. Really scraping the bowl to get it all out at this point. And we'll spread it around, and it's going to be kind of thin, but that's okay. We've got a little pool on the other side of the bread there. I think that maybe we might have to borrow some of that. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and borrow a little bit of this and spread it over there. So that's what we got to do sometimes, you know? You got to improvise. So next up, we've got the star of our show, this gorgeous reheated cast iron pan meatloaf with the white American cheese. Oh, it just smells amazing, and it looks absolutely divine going onto this gorgeous garlic bread on top of this luxurious spicy Dijonnaise. And now let's not forget our caramelized red onions. They may not be the prettiest looking things in the world, but I'll tell you what, the sweetness that comes out of these caramelized red onions is going to just tie everything together. It's going to make this sandwich really special. You could go nuts with lettuce and tomato and all that good stuff, but I just want to keep the flavors simple and make sure that everything works together. So these beautiful red onions, and they smell so good. That little bit of garlic butter we put in there really adds a nice little flavor, and it adds a nice aroma profile. So we'll go ahead and put the lids on, see how the bread got toasted on the other side just by flipping them over, killing the heat, letting the residual heat from the pan toast those up. So there you go, your perfect leftover meatloaf sandwich. It's glorious. Now, no sandwich is complete without getting a cross section. This isn't a really stacked sandwich, so we're not expecting a glorious cross section, but I do like to see what's going on inside there. And there you go. Those caramelized red onions just oozing out of there. They look beautiful. See if you can hear the crunch of these beautiful fries. So good. Soft and fluffy on the inside, crispy on the outside. Perfect. And now let's try this sandwich. That's my kid right there. That's where I'm going. Cheers. Okay. Stop. First of all, the meatloaf was awesome, and we'll get to that in another video. But reheated. The garlic bread. Do that. Do that with every sandwich, please. That sauce, that Dijonnaise, a little bit of heat from the sriracha kind of creeps up on you at the end. The sweet and tangy glaze that was already on the meatloaf and the bacon crisped up and caramelized it. Oh my God, it's so good. And the onions. Let's not forget those gorgeous caramelized red onions. I mean, don't eat boring food. Not even leftovers. Leftovers don't have to be boring. Repurpose them. Add a side. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like. Please subscribe. That helps me out a bunch. Share this video with your friends. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you want to see done with maybe some of your leftovers. And let me know what you want to see on the next video. Until then, I am Michael Allen. This has been All American Cooking. Thanks again for watching. And don't eat boring food. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.